in his orbit, and that I've seen him act in ways that are just quite unhinged.
And that was Omarosa Manigault-Newman on our air just this last hour, reacting to her recent legal win against her former boss, Donald Trump. A New York arbitrator has rejected Donald Trump's claim that she violated a non-disclosure agreement, calling it unenforceable. Well, joining me now is Joyce Vance, MSNBC legal analyst, former U.S. attorney, and professor at the University of Alabama School of Law. Welcome, Joyce. Are you surprised by the arbitrator's decision, and what do you think it means for other former Trump aides who signed similar NDAs?
This is not a particularly surprising decision. The non-disclosure agreement in this case was very broad, and as the arbitrator noted, ultimately it was far too broad and too vague to be enforceable. The interesting question that you flag, Alex, is what does this mean for other people who entered into non-disclosure agreements with the former president? This is a decision rendered by an arbitrator. Under the terms of the NDA, it went to private arbitration as opposed to into the court system for a decision. So this is an arbitrator who concluded the president could not enforce the non-disclosure agreement in this case. That will not be binding in future cases, but it will be highly persuasive. This is a major loss in Trump world.
And it's something that certainly Donald Trump's niece, Mary Trump, and the New York Times are paying close attention to, given the lawsuit that Donald Trump brought against them recently for $100 million. Let's get to the new Vanity Fair article that predicts Trump may be hit with multiple criminal charges over his effort to overturn the election in Georgia. Do you think his January 3rd phone call with then Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, remember when he asked him to find more than 11,000 votes? Is that a smoking gun?
It is a difficult and complicated question, but if you just look at his conduct on his face, calling state officials, asking them to find additional votes that he needs, you know, that's the sort of conduct that clearly rings the bell for criminal interference with an election. It's complicated because there are difficulties involving the First Amendment, involving official power, and frankly, it's a big burden to put on a district attorney in one county in Georgia to ask her to shoulder that burden when others haven't. But Alex, I still have taped to the wall in my office the exact number of votes he asked for, 11,780. It's been in front of me all these months because if you simply think about what he did, asked them to find him one more vote than he needed to win Georgia, a crucial state. There is no way that we can ignore that conduct. Perhaps it's lawful but awful, but increasingly as more facts come to light, it looks like it's simply unlawful.
Interesting. Prosecutors there in Georgia, they have reportedly appeared before a grand jury. They're seeking subpoenas. They've apparently already interviewed at least 4 of Raffensperger's closest advisors. So what does that say to you about how they're handling this case?
It says that they're doing the right thing, and the fact that we don't know more, while it's frustrating, means that this process is proceeding precisely as it should, cloaked in the secrecy of the grand jury. Their job now is to get all of the evidence, not just the evidence that favors bringing charges, but evidence that would tend to be in the favor of the former president so that they can evaluate all of that evidence and make a decision based solely on the facts and the law as to whether he should be charged.
Well, what about criminal liability? Could it extend to Trump allies, those like Giuliani, who played a major role in perpetuating and spreading the big lie?
That's precisely the issue that they're likely focused on in this grand jury proceeding. Other people made calls to Georgia officials. There was other conduct surrounding the big lie. It's possible that there could be conspiracies or that people could be accomplices in this regard. And if you take this conduct seriously as a prosecutor, and you should, your obligation is to evaluate everyone who was involved to determine who is criminally culpable and who should be charged.
Sage points, as always, from you, Professor. Thank you so much. Joyce Vance, good to see you. Vaccinations required, the state that just decided to demand COVID shots for all students, and how that's being